I studied global affairs when I first was in college,
Mm-hmm.
and where I went to school, basically I thought the global affairs department was like awesome for people who want to work in security, or learn about foreign relations and then go work in the government,
Mm-hmm.
but from like a
You
security
went
perspective.
you went to Yale, correct?
Yes, I went to Yale for undergrad. So basically, I was really interested in like development, and I think like so many people were interested in like on the other side of things, that when I was in class, I was like, I think there's a better way for me to like study this stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that came in the form of like studying global health. So like I kind of doubled down on that, and the reason why I did that was, one, my parents are physicians, the pediatricians, so like I had an interest in the world of health, but I just didn't know like what sliver like was my piece. Like, was it being a doctor, or was it being like someone who just like studies population health?
Like an
And
epidemiologist or something.
yeah, and I honestly, I was sitting, I think I like took an intro to global health class. I didn't even know global health was a subject when I first entered college, but I took this class, thought the professor was really cool. And then I was sitting at dinner and I heard this med student talking about, actually, like, just recounted the story today, so it might be a little long-winded because I'm probably going to embellish with even more details. But I haven't talked about this in a while, but essentially he had been doing research on the Syrian border, on the Turkish side,
Mm-hmm.
global health research with
Sorry,
Syrian
you said
population, refugee population.
You said the Turkish side of the Syrian border.
Yeah, so Kilis and Rahanla, Turkey, and Gaziantep. A lot of Syrians, came from around Aleppo during the height of the crisis into these cities. And
This is
Kilis,
like
New York
around.
Times had just published an article.
Sorry. What years was this?
Sorry, go
Was this
ahead.
like around like the ISIS, like the rise of ISIS in the area?
This is right before.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so 2014. So this is during the basically like rise.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard him talking about his research and like how stressful the situation was. And I was maybe 18 or 19, and I said, dang, like I want to see what's going on there, because the news, I was really interested in like global health, but from like a journalism perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I like wrote for the YDN, and I worked on YTV, so, which was the OTV at the time. It was just, I literally was like, okay, I concocted a plan. I'm gonna go with this med student when he goes back to do like more of his research,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna tag along. And my college, everyone was like, you're crazy, like you can't go. This is like a crisis-stricken country. It's literally one of the most dangerous places in the world. And I like told my parents I was going to Istanbul on spring break with a few friends, and actually we just went to the Syrian border, which was insane.
How happy were your parents about that?
Well, oh my God. They were like, we're gonna disown you. You are not putting yourself in like safety, you're putting yourself in danger, and like, how could you not tell us, and this and that. And I was like, dang guys, like you just don't understand. Like, do you know what it's like to be in like, crisis-stricken situation, or like, have you seen this? And they're like, yes. And we are of Pakistani descent, so they're like, you've been to Pakistan like growing up a lot, like you've seen these things. But I literally it was a whole new world, right? Like there were barrel bombs and like shrapnel and like children, like causing like children to have like brain surgery because there was a barrel bomb that like blew up way too close to like where they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a lot of like psychological trauma associated with obviously like this refugee experience. And I went and I saw all of it, and I was like, I need to care about this and learn about this. And something one of the doctors who was there working in the polyclinic said to me was, you can use technology, like because we don't have enough talent, like we actually need more like tech implementation here to help us. Like when there's a body that is in the field, we can't actually send out one of our 5 doctors down there to like grab that person, because like they tend to snipe physicians right
Medics,
now.
yeah.
Or like physicians are, yeah. So we need like a machine that can go and like pick up, like locate where the body is and pick it up safely and bring it back to like, and ideally it's durable and we can do that. rather than sending one of the few physicians who are left in this region like out and into danger. There were people who said like, I attended, like along with these physicians, I went and I sat in patient visits, and there was a gynecologist treating like a geriatric patient, and like obviously their specialty like and their training had nothing to do with like the patient population that they were serving. And they, on top of that, they spoke a different language. Sometimes they were like Turkish physicians treating Syrian patients. Turkish physicians speak Turkish. Syrians speak Arabic. So in the Shami dialect. So like they weren't even able to like they had 15 minutes and have to communicate medical history, an event that's happened, like communicate allergies, everything to figure out an approach.
Yeah, I don't imagine there were translators like readily available in every single location.
And at home, my parents had been talking a lot about electronic medical records because they had to implement them in their practices, begrudgingly so, I think, because they're in that generation that's like a little less tech savvy. So I got really obsessed with like learning about electronic medical records. This started a 3-year-long process of me like obsessing over this one thing, and people are like, this is the most boring thing to obsess over, but okay. I guess this is your like thesis and what you want to study. I actually eventually switched into studying molecular biology as well. And so I like doubled down on like science and health. And I as I was graduating college, I was like, okay, this could happen a few different ways. I care about social causes. Maybe I'll go to law school. Maybe I'll go to med school. You know, this paradigm of I should keep going to school because this is like why my parents work so hard and send me and like to these educational environments. Like they want me to keep going. So I even took the MCAT. I took the LSAT. Like I prepared my application for all these things, and I was like, wait. It was senior year, and my friend John, he goes, we should like pitch your thesis or like this electronic medical record implementation to the startup pitch competition. And I was like, sure, let's go. And it was the first time like I've created a deck, I've like made a pitch, I spoke about like what I was doing, and like I talked about like a real world like application to building it. And it was like I finally got bit, right? So I was like, I need to work in tech. Before I go to grad school, I need to like go and work in this like innovative space where people are just building things and taking an idea and like making it be something real that they can use. Because I want to build this one thing, like this electronic medical record for refugee population. I was talking to someone, a family friend. I'm talking to a lot of people trying to figure out like where to work, and I looked at places like Google. I looked at places like other like incubators for social impact. Like I didn't even know what a startup really was, right? Like Google is not a startup. But I was like, I just need to work in tech. I
imagine you did like a couple of rounds of like multiple like Peace Corps initiatives.
No, I definitely didn't go. I didn't apply to the Peace Corps at all. But yeah, I would look for things like that and for people like that and see, okay, who's an engineer, who's actually building something. I tried to convince John to come and build this thing in real life with me, and he was like, no, dude, I already have my like actual startup that I'm already building. But I'm glad you really liked it. And he's still one of my best friends to date. So I just talked to so many people, and like someone I grew up with in Peoria, Illinois, when my parents lived there, like before I moved to the suburbs of Chicago. I think we moved when I was 4, so like this is like way early on, but someone I've known forever. She goes, I work at this place. It was co-founded by the co-founder of Ethereum. And there's a project where they're trying to build a distributed ledger, like electronic medical record system on the Ethereum blockchain. And I was like, half those words, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
but the other half is exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah. So, but I was like, but I'm so in. Went, had a conversation, took the job. Long story short, didn't really, that startup kind of fizzled really quickly because there were like co-founder disputes, and I just think generally like it was really early to be thinking about an electronic medical record in the blockchain.
Well, for a long time it was really just like come up with as many plausible ideas, not even how many are reasonably attainable in a short period. It's like at the 2017 to 2019 like period was all just about like, can we get interest in this for people to build out, to want to build out the technology? Meanwhile, consensus will build out the tools for everybody to try to build things.
Exactly. I mean, that was what was going on. But I thought there's so much in this space I don't know, and there's a lot that I can learn by just like writing about it and researching it. So I started doing like market intel research and like writing a newsletter about it, and I just kind of doubled down. I went to Joe and I was like, I still want a job here. Like, I know I'm not going to be working at this project because it's not going to really probably see, you know, itself through to the next quarter. And he was like, you know, you have 6 weeks, like find a job if you can, like you can stay. And that's what I did. So a few years I kind of just did that, and I learned a lot about, took on a bunch of different roles, learned a lot in every single role. And then I was like, okay, my parents really want me to go to grad school, so maybe I should consider going to law school. I did research with someone I knew from undergrad who was like this brilliant like future professor. She's like on the market to be an academic, and she's insanely smart, and she was studying like corporate governance, and this is during like right after the BLM movement, and so very recent. But I was like, okay, for a year I'll kind of do that, and I'll think about DAOs too, because I was really interested in like governance in general. And DAOs was a concept that was just popping up. Realized, okay, law school is probably not for me during this year. And
what would you have gone to law school for?
Because
really cool, you mentioned it a couple of times.
I think I would have done like either like more refugee advocacy or like tech like I would worked in tech and like
intellectual property.
As like I would want to be a counsel, like someone at chief counsel at a startup I really cared about. I still wanted to work in the space, like down the line of business. I think that was more so to find like something to appease my parents, who were like, how would you stop going to school? like we don't understand that.
The real question, are you an only child, like, and do you have all of their expectations on you?
I'm an only child, yeah.
Okay, yeah, there you
go. They also are like probably the two people in my life I'm most inspired by, and they are wonderful human beings who've done so much, who care about their communities that they live in and back home, and I really like admire them. And so I was like, maybe they like know the answers, but also they don't work in the space I do, and so they said to me, they're like, okay, great, like you know, jump through hoops, explore these things, thank you, but maybe you know your path best. And so this is my whole story. Wow, you're barely talking, I'm so sorry. But
no, I mean, like I really don't want to derail the story when you're like, you said yourself, like you don't have many opportunities to like tell your story to like an audience, and just kind of, you know, so
well, I don't even get to think about this as much because I'm in the thick of my job is to listen, and maybe I don't do the best job of it, but like hopefully I'll continue to like grow and learn. I think my job is a mix of two things: asking the right questions and listening a lot. And I love that. Like I thoroughly enjoy that. But I also think, to answer your question about whether like my approach to life is philosophical and ideological, or more oriented about being like an early adopter and making myself like share amounts of wealth, like there's gonna be a little bit of truth to both things. Maybe I don't know if it's about like,
I mean, ideally you would always want to be.
Capital is really important.
Yeah, ideally you would always.
Yeah, ideally you, but
yeah.